Okay, got a few things done in the shop earlier today, so I've been able to play this afternoon. What I'm working on is the center section spars for the for station, what is bulkhead 7375. And I consider these to be probably the most important, this one and the bulkhead behind it, which is station 99.35, which is the seat back. Those are the front and rear wing mounting points where the front spar and the rear spar mount to the fuselage. So I kind of consider this to be the most important part, because if it's not straight and square with everything, why, nothing else is going to be straight and square as we assemble it. So I thought I'd catch up on what I've done so far. So let me move the camera down a little bit so you've got a little bit better view, and I'll explain what I've done. And a lot of these parts like this I've taken to not video them while I'm working on them, because I kind of feel like I need to concentrate on them rather than just letting the camera run and then having to deal with all that. So, but I did want to catch up. So let me bring you down here, I'll show you what we got. Okay, so this is the 7375 bulkhead. And like I say, this is the one where the front wing spar mounts to. Instrument panel sits right up here. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, this is the pattern that I was sanding out yesterday, one of the patterns for the bulkheads. And I've gone back and drilled the jig holes in it. So when I get to looking at this, I can build all of the actual main spar assembly without having this actual bulkhead yet, this 40 thousandths thick bulkhead. So, and it's actually probably better for me to assemble it this way, because I can concentrate on the alignment of it, and I can build virtually everything without that. Then when I do get the 40 thousandths to build this former, why, then I can go right back and just fit this assembly to it. Then I'll open up the holes to the full size that there need to be. Everything now is just pilot drilled. Actually, it's 1/8 inches what I'm using for drills to drill these undersides, and I'm using 1/8 inch rivets to hold everything together. So got some rivets I'm using as sacrificial rivets. So anyway, these are my spars, and I think I'd shown the cutout spars before. Cut them out, and I've shaved the top, so we've got our profile. This will be a lower spar. It'll mount like this down in the fuselage, and this is the upper spar. It'll mount like this. Now, I took and clamped these together, just like EA, and took them to the milling machine yesterday afternoon, I guess, is when I was working on these. And these are all our rivet holes, and like I say, these are all undersized. These are going to take, what are these? These are 85s, I believe. And then this outer hole, and I've done this top and bottom, the outer hole right here and here is a fixed position for the wing mounting points. So there's the 4 pieces on each one, 8 total of 4130 that will mount the wings to that. So these are a fixed location here and here. And same way on the bottom spar, done the same thing. I've just marked the positions where these should go when we lay them out, inch spacing on these wing mounting bolts. These are the proper positioning for the rivets to go through. And like I say, these outer holes, I've drilled them all the way through for 1/8 inch for now, and they'll get opened up to proper size. When I have the mounting plates to go on here, what I'm going to do is go ahead and build my wing mounts, and I'm going to leave them slightly undersized. I'm going to do them pretty close to finished size, but I'm going to leave them slightly undersized. I'll send them out, have them heat treated. When they get back, why, I'll drill and ream them to final size. That'll take care of any movement and everything and give me enough so I've got a good fit. Construction manual says you really only need to ream the wing mounting points themselves where out on the ends. Now on the M2 they show to drill and ream these as a match set too. So I'm going to follow that same procedure and do them that way. So what I did to set these up, and we don't need the back sides to either of these for right now. Let's get them out of the way. These are the way they're going to lay out as I'm looking at one side of them, just like that. So what I did, rather than messing around with this, I thought about just laying it out on the table, drilling right into the table and holding them that way. What I ended up and did is I just took another piece of 3/4 MDF, just like that, and put them together, drilled my jig holes in them, 3/16 jig holes for both of these, pinned them together, took them out to the router table with a flush router bit, and routed the profile. So I've got the bottom half of this bulkhead, or the bottom main portion of the bulkhead actually, but I've got the bulkhead. I've already set it up, and I had these jig holes. These were known holes, so I used this as my baseline, and I marked out my center line off of that on the ends, inside and outside. And then once I got them separated and match drilled, separated, then I just ran my center line. I used these 2 jig holes as my center line here, used that as my other baseline. From that, we want 5 1/64 to the center of the top spar. So, the center line of the top spar. So those are the constants that had to be right. So once I got that far, I've gone back through and we've match drilled these so that they fit. And since I'm working on the outer edges, I don't want to use them. I want to use these center ones to lock them together. Same way with the top one. And I was very careful in the layout. I spent a lot of time doing the layout because, as I said, it has to be, I think it has to be right. It's the one that really needs to be perfect. So we've got it to that position right there, and that's our spacing, and I think I'm very, very happy with that. So from there, since we've got 3/8 thick here, we have 2 3/16 inch spacers on either side, and it will ultimately be made out of this material. I made me just a little template, and had my spacing from this edge for each of them. And once I got that, I drilled my holes and set them in to pin them in position. And this one's still just a little bit long, but it's I'll fit it down directly. So I made my spacer just like that. And it pins together. And I've already tried it on the other side just by flipping it over. This one matches exactly. So very happy with that. Once I got that far, there'll be a piece of angle that goes on the top and sits down flush. So clamp those two together, cut it to length. There again, I'm a little bit long. It's got to be fitted down. And clamped them together and match drilled them. So now I've got a top piece that's, like I say, it has to be fitted down just a little bit for it to really line up. And that hole wants to be a little tight too. Actually, both of those holes, I'll have to open them up. Anyway, I'll put them together and we'll pin that in position. Once we get that, then we have our hole spacing to go through our spacers here. There's 4 more that go through. I'll take and make that spacing, and then we'll cut down 2 spacers to go underneath. That'll make up for that 3/8 of an inch, 2 3/16 inch thick pieces. Then where our mounting bolts go, I'll have to make up 1 more spacer out of 190,000 3/16, and it will go there and just come to the bottom of where our mounting 4130s go, and then this bolts on top of the whole thing, or rivets on top of the whole thing. And these all get riveted together. Now optionally you can bolt these in these 4 here, I think. Maybe all, well, the top and bottom will be bolted because they'll be bolted through with the wing mounting points. And then these 4 bolts on either side or holes on either side can either be riveted or optionally they can be bolted. I don't know which one I'm going to do. Bolting them will be easier, But we'll do up some thicknesses and rivet some test pieces and see how well they come out. If they are going to rivet the way they should, well, then we'll go ahead and rivet them together. Otherwise, we'll just bolt them. No harm, no foul either way there. But anyway, that's what I'm working on. So that's kind of my thinking with it. That's the layout. Once we get everything ready for final assembly, once we get our parts back from heat treat and everything, and we're going to rivet everything together with the bulkhead itself installed in it, why then we'll go back and etch and allodyne everything, and we'll put it together and then probably prime it, and it'll be ready to mount in the jig once we get that far. But anyway, that's where we're at for right now. Okay guys, pouring rain out here this morning, so this is just a very quick little walk around for the end of this section of video. Here, I've been working on these center section spars on my little MDF form, and this is the stage we're at too right now. And everything is set up, I believe, the way it's supposed to be. I've just got it pinned together with rivets, using them as guide pins. So these are rivets that I'm not going to use. I'm just using them for alignment here. So now we're waiting on materials for both the bulkhead itself and the wing attach fittings. Both of those are ordered, should be here sometime next week. And I won't do any more on this probably until we get those materials and get those formed up. But this is what it looks like to this point. And you know, everything's aligned, set up. We're pilot drilled. These will all have to be opened up. All of these rivet holes, they're all undersized. And there again, I'm going to wait until I get the bulkhead. We're going to match the bulkhead to those, and then we'll go ahead and drill it to match this undersize, and then we'll open everything up. And then it'll be ready to allodyne and rivet together. So once we get the bulkhead formed, probably these edges will be trimmed so they're contoured with the bulkhead. This lower edge has to be trimmed off here. We've got to adjust our angle and things like that. There's still work to be done to it, but this is about all we can do until we've got the bulkhead and everything ready. But everything lines up real well. I'm real happy with it. The whole assembly, I'm wondering if it will move up to the top of this edge, because this bulkhead should be flush with the top. So I've double checked measurements. They come out right, but I don't know if this needs to come up or if the bulkhead's a little bit oversized and it's just going to have to be contoured down and flush that extra 3/16 or quarter of an inch, whatever it is. So, but that's the way it looks. We've got all our spacers fitted down in here. We've got two spacers that take up the difference for this 3/8, and then this one will be trimmed on the edges to match the wing attach fittings on all 4 positions all the way around. But otherwise, looks really good. I'm really happy with it. You know, we'll once we get the bulkhead done, then we'll go back, polish everything up, contour our edges, take off our sharp little edges. There's no sense in them being there, and just make it a little more appealing. Then we'll be ready to allodyne it and rivet it together. Etch and allodyne and then rivet. So there we are. Hopefully you find that a little bit interesting. Comment suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below, guys. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.